Satya Dharma Reflection on June 14th, 2022. Mahakaruna, continue to proceed to the awakening and brightening. Deliberate cut through as a great compassion. Open the palms continuously as blessing, even you don't do water blessing. Both awakening and brightening and non-attachment is in the way without limit. Not being limited to any certain things. Awakening, brightening or disregarding is without limits. This is like a lion roar of the great compassion. Continue onwards as such. Continue to purify for samsara through the purification of the extinction and the emptiness only. There is no need to add anything further. The non-attachment means is boundless. Awaken out, brighten out without limits. For everything, there is no limits. Disregard even from the disregard itself, no grasping even to the non-grasping itself. In a way, without disregard from the disregard itself, this will be boundless all by itself. It is the great compassion that happens automatically. Let's assume the great compassion simultaneously with awakening and brightening. In a way, without grasping to the non-grasping itself. Awakening without grasping itself, brightening without grasping itself, no grasping even to the non-grasping itself, child. No grasping even to the non-grasping itself. This will be without obstructions at all. This is the great compassion, purifying samsara onwards. No is not no itself, child. Where with this? This is not about grasping as it is, whether it is yes or no. It's not about grasping it, whether it's yes or no. No is not even no itself. It indicates that it's not about grasping, whether it is yes or no. Brightening doesn't grasp itself, child. The awakening doesn't grasp itself. This will be beyond awakening and brightening, turning into the great compassion of the purification, of penetrating through as helping. The awakening doesn't grasp itself. However, continue to awaken out. Brightening doesn't grasp itself. However, just brighten out. This is the great compassion. Assume the great compassion. This is up to the power of the awakening and the brightening, which is called samabhat, penetrating through. Without this power, there will always a limitation. There is no anupap of blessing samsara. There is no anupap to help penetrating through for all beings. This is just continue like lingering and sluggishly on and on, casually on and on. So awaken out, brighten out, boundlessly. No limits, child. Awakening and brightening is not limited to itself. Even the non-attachment is not limited to itself. Proceed on in the way that is the uninvolved with itself. Fully open, fully open. No grasping, even the non-grasping itself. Beyond the senses and sense perceptions, awakening and brightening will not be limited all by itself, in the same way as the non-attachment. Without awakening or brightening, because the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind is already awaken out and brighten out in itself. Just don't lock it in. disregard even from the disregard itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, it will not be blocked with any certain extent. It will be boundless, purifying throughout, all by itself. Without awakening and brightening, how can there be the blessing beings? Where is the power? We have to assume the power of the awakening and brightening. We have to assume the great compassion, the Mahakaruna. Without assuming it up of the great compassion, how can there be the blessing? Mahakaruna, just assume it. Form it up. Uninvolved with the non-attachment is not about being determined or projecting the mind towards anything, because that is clashes. That is the power of contemplation. That is the power of taba, meditative power. Therefore, continue to purify fully. Be absolute with the essence. If not giving the essence absolutely, then there will not be any power for blessing. It's weakened. With samsara, it's impossible to become like casually or weakened, because that is like gonna be dominated. There is no power to penetrate through to help at all. Don't be in the way of stillness or indifference that is happen normally. Don't be limited to certain extents. The disregard as well, or the uninvolved as well, is not be limited to itself. It's boundless. Let's not be limited to certain things. The mindfulness is not limited to itself, it's boundless. The concentration is not limited to itself, it's boundless. Let's not be limited to any certain things. The disregard is not limited to itself. The disregard is not itself. It's not relevant to itself. Throughout all directions. Continue to use the uninvolved with the disregard continuously. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself continuously. You have to continue to unlock. You have so many locking within the mind, within Dhamma attainment. So sometimes you listen to terminologies, but you cannot be in accordance with it. So you have to unlock it all by yourself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. When you hear the word boundlessness, is more than your ability, because you have been sometimes there's a lot of thriving is impossible. So continue to unlock using terminologies as uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. It will unlock your own lock up karma and samsara at the same time. So continue to bless as such, more or less continue onwards, helping through unwinding and releasing onwards. There is not much. Sometimes the boundlessness, no limitations, this has to do with the long-term blessing. That's why it's automatic. It's impossible to be limited at all. That is how the Mahabarami, the great compassion, they are. Because it's wrong to them. It's impossible for them. It's always boundless. For all of you, you have to continue to unlock using terminologies as uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself continuously. Then automatically it will be boundless. It will be boundless all by itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself continuously, automatically there will be no limitations. Okay, continue simply like this, okay? Purify simply like this. Continue to unlock disregard, even from the disregard itself. Don't lock up anything. Release the lockup of the Upadhan. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolvement itself. There is no complication here. No is not the no itself. There is no complication, no difficulty here. Helping through unwinding for samsara onwards. That which has nothing to do with attachment or detachment. It has nothing to do with the uninvolved itself. There is no complication here. Simply conclude as such. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, this is not just about disregarding. Just like the disregard doesn't grasp itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, it is actually the disregard that doesn't grasp itself. It is not relevant to itself, uninvolved with the disregard itself. Keep on awakening out, brighten out, open up widely through all the senses and sense perceptions. They are the senses and sense perceptions of the awakening and the brightening. Let's brighten out well. This has to be beyond the lotus blossoming, flowers blossoming. Let's not be engrossed with just budding or blossoming. Let's not be obsessed with contentment or relaxation. The blossoming discards itself. Awakening has nothing to do with itself, child. The disregard is not relevant to itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. The blossoming discards itself. The blossoming discards itself. The awakening is not related to itself. The disregard is not related to itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, child. The blossoming discards itself. The non-attachment doesn't grasp itself. Blossoming discards itself. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. Blossoming discards itself. The awakening is not relevant to itself, child. That is the blossoming that discards itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, child. Non-attachment even to the non-attachment itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. The brightening doesn't grasp itself, uninvolved with itself. That is blossoming discards itself. The brightness doesn't grasp itself, child. The detachment doesn't grasp itself. The liberation doesn't grasp itself. Nibbana doesn't grasp itself, child. Nibbana doesn't grasp itself. The emptiness doesn't grasp itself, child. No grasping even to the non-grasping itself, child. This is the blossoming discarding itself. It is not about just budding or blossoming. It discards itself. The disregard doesn't grasp itself, child. The disregard is not relevant to itself. This is blooming doesn't grasp itself, it discards itself. This is not just about budding or blooming. They like so much lotus blossoming that is stuck with just blooming and budding. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The extinction doesn't grasp itself, the emptiness doesn't grasp itself. The cutting doesn't grasp itself, child. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The cutting doesn't grasp itself, the extinction doesn't grasp itself, child. The emptiness doesn't grasp itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Give no significance to the disregard itself. Uninvolved with the disregard itself. Continue to help through the unwinding, continue to purify as such through the extinction and the emptiness. Let's not be much taking anything into account much with anything. Let's not use any angles to bless at all. No angles to be used. Let's purify through the extinction and the emptiness only. Use just one sentence to end for samsara. This will turn into the purification of the emptiness all by itself through the essence of uninvolved. Even within the uninvolved itself, there will be simultaneous purification of the emptiness automatically. This is not just involvement or uninvolvement. It's impossible to be simultaneous purification because there is a specific. Let's unlock well, uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. This will be automatic purification of the emptiness that is proceeding simultaneously. Continue to make a conclusion simultaneously. Otherwise, the mind will be giving significance and involvement on and on. Disregard, even from the disregard itself. Don't be obsessed to involve with the minds on and on. No is not even know itself. Let's make a conclusion through Nirodha and Nibbana. Without diligently conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana, There will be only habits, always significance and meanings and involvement within the mind, within looking, seeing and knowing, within all things. That is all about the causes of the suffering, causes of samsara, causes of cycle of becoming, causes of karma. No, it's not even the no itself. This will not be a cause for anything. It will not be about anything within the body, the mind, or all things all by itself. Why is it so? Because it is not even no itself. No is not even no itself. How can there be any delusion to yes with anything? Continue to diligently make a conclusion through Nirodha and Nibbana. Disregard even from the disregard itself continuously. All the significance and meanings and involvements is so much so that it creates exhaustion and then falling into stillness and indifference. Disregard from the disregard itself simply. There are no tricks or angles at all. Purify through flawlessness only. There are no steps. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself right away. This is not about attempting to uninvolve with anything because there will be steps, there will be angles. There are no such thing to create difficulties here. To uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. No is not no itself. This is not about being engrossed with no with anything because there will be steps. There will be all that entries of Soda, Sakataka, Anakami and Arahants, always having steps. No is not no itself, child. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself in all steps, in all angles. No is not even no itself. Where with this? This is not to be engrossed with rejecting with anything until it's so random. No is not no itself. Let's purify through flawlessness only. Let's not be engrossed with no, with anything, rejecting anything on and on. Let's not be obsessed to disregard anything, disregard from the disregard itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind are not having problems. They are not the problems. All the earth, air, water and fire are not the problems. They have no problems in themselves. The problems themselves are the significance and meanings and involvement. So disregard even from the disregard itself, well to purify through the extinction for samsara. No is not the no itself. In all the delusion to stray around through looking, seeing and knowing by the desire. This is not giving favor to titi or seeing or knowing. No favor in there. Not giving value to anything whatsoever, even Dharma. No is not no itself, child. In of giving values to the delusion, to the desire, to the delusive attachment. Whenever there is the deluded to give value, it become having low value. All giving values is low down. It becomes realms of existence. There is no such thing as high value. Whatever you give value to is become low down. It's become preoccupation. This is low down values. There is no such thing as high value. Whenever you give value to anything, it's low down right away. It's just preoccupation to that limit. It becomes realm of existence immediately. No is not even no itself. No is not the no itself. In all values, in all delusion to give value to anything whatsoever. Continue to make a conclusion through the essence of disregard, even from the disregard itself. All the clinging, being carried away within looking, seeing, and knowing all the fabrications. This is the karmic habit of desire and delusive attachment within living the life, within lifestyles. This is the samudaya of the karmic habits. So disregard, even from the disregard itself, continuously. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. This is not about attempting to uninvolve with anything. Otherwise, there will be giving value to all the Dhamma, to Nibbana. This is low down. Low down value. Because there is desire, delusion and delusive attachment, that's why it's low down. Wanting to have, wanting to be, wanting to get. Even you give value to Nibbana, that's still low down. All delusion to give value is the low down in itself. That is the beingness of realm of existence. It is actually the samudaya in itself. Therefore, it's impossible to give value to anything or having favor with anything. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, well. Purify without flaw continuously. Continue onwards. Purifying through the extinction onwards without flaw. Disregard, even from the disregard itself continuously. Well with it. So that it will purify through the extinction for the mind that gives significance and meanings and involvement. No is not the no itself, child. Don't be obsessed to reject anything on and on. The uninvolved as well. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Don't be obsessed to uninvolve with anything on and on. That is called blooming discard itself. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself is actually blooming discarding itself. All the worldly people, all the Dhamma people, they say that the blossoming is the topmost. What is this? What is it that is good? What is this that is not good? What is there that is topmost or not? No is not the no itself. That is the blooming discarding itself. The detachment doesn't grasp itself. The liberation doesn't grasp itself. This is not about not involving with anything, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. This is great because there is no need to be exhausted to write any textbooks. Just reflecting, and you can listen for all time, for eons of times, ending according to what you listen to. There is no need to write any textbooks or Dharma books. There is no need to burden anything. There is no need to burden any Tripitaka without Tithi, without having full of Tithi. No is not the no itself, child. The emptiness is not itself. Don't be obsessed to empty out from anything on and on, or not empty out of anything. Don't be obsessed to give significance and meanings and involvement with the emptiness or not emptiness. The emptiness is not itself. It doesn't signify anything. No is not the no itself. We're with it. Don't be obsessed to cut anything, cutting the cutting itself. Don't be deludedly cutting anything until you are exhausted. Whether the knife is sharp or not, there is still exhaustion there. Because there is a delusion, still a delusion to cut. No is not no itself. We're with it, child. Cutting the cutting itself, there is no need to cut anything. The blooming doesn't grasp itself, child. The disregard from itself. This is liberation, emptiness. Detachment doesn't grasp itself. Disregard from the disregard itself, meaning that the extinction doesn't grasp itself, the cutting doesn't grasp itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, is actually the cutting that doesn't grasp itself. The extinction doesn't grasp itself. Directly make a conclusion. There is no need to go around. Being direct, it is not about anything within being direct. Nothing is in the alignment anyway. What is there within being aligned or being direct? Nothing is within there. Then it will not become distorted within being direct. To be obsessed with being aligned or being direct, that is still being distorted. What is there within being direct or being aligned, that is distorted. The more you try to be direct, the more it is distorted. That is the obsession, to try to be aligned or to be direct. That is the samutai that is overlaying. Desire, delusion, and delusive attachment that overlay. Being obsessed to be direct, to be aligned, is all about samutai overlaying.
รงอะไร
Being aligned with what?
ยิบนี่ตรงอะไรยิ่งตรงอะไรก็ยิ่งคด
The more you are aligned, the more it is
ฮงเลไหน
distorted.
ฮงเลมีแรงทางเสลดหรือเปล่า
มีค่ะ
แล้วมันดีเหรอทางเสลดเนี่ย รับประทานเสลดนี่ดีเหรอ แปลอะไรมันฉาฉานหน่อย มันจะได้มีพลังในการทะลุ
Longpo say that whatever you help translate, you have to be
โลกขึ้นมา
quite
ยังใช้กำลังเลย
active
ทะลุทะลวง
and distinctly.
สุขใหม่
Longpo uses the sentence that is penetrating through everything.